Hello, hello. All right. Yeah, I can't believe I'm doing that. Oh, I'm gonna remove the AirPods actually. Mm, ah. All right. So here we are. We're going live. First YouTube live ever in a vertical format. And today I want to talk about my journey from a CPA, chartered professional accountant, which I'm still, by the way, to full-time YouTuber. So I don't know if anyone's gonna join. I don't care. I'm trying stuff. Why I'm doing that, I actually listened to a podcast this weekend talking about the new features of YouTube, and I thought that was a cool feature. So we'll see if some people joins. So yeah, here we are. So let's start with my career. So I started my career as an accountant. I did a technical program in accounting. I was working for a government here in Quebec City. I'm from Canada, and I actually started working for the government. So I was doing taxes. So I was like 17 years old. I was actually calling people, sending them huge bills like, hey, you're owing a lot of income taxes. And that was one of my first serious job. And yeah, I was doing my technical program in accounting. And then I decided to do university program, so a degree in accounting, and pretty boring so far as a story, right? And yeah, so I did my degree as an accountant, and it was super fun. I was still working for this government job while doing my degree. I eventually dropped out at some point, just focusing on school because it was a big focus for me for actually a lot of time. And I really always took school seriously. That's how I am. That's my work ethic. So yeah, I did school, and then you know um, started working, get my nose into accounting. So I worked for a big four accounting firm, which is called PwC, Price Waterhouse Coopers. And then I started in auditing. And what is auditing? So auditing is that you go to clients, and you actually I had clients in construction field, and clients in the video game industry, and clients in the financial services industry. So I had pretty much clients in a lot of different fields. So I started doing my accounting career. So I was going to clients. I had clients in the States. I quickly got to manage a team, of course. And that's the accounting drill. And I was paid very little for many hours, right? So that was like $34,000 in the first year I was doing that, and it was in 2016. Just to give you a little bit of background. So yeah, and then eventually I kept working for them. I did 3 years at this auditing thing. That was pretty cool, and I mean, pretty cool for being young and having a great job that you actually feel, that feeling of importance, like how important it is. And yeah, so that's what I did, and a few years, and quickly got to manage people and go to clients and lead the mission, and lead the files. I don't know how to say that, but you actually manage the shit, let's say it like that. And then, so basically I went to Ubisoft to do video games industry, in the video games industry, I should say. But I was still an accountant, so I got my first job there. I was like, what, 25 years old, 26. I'm 31 right now, for the records, and I always wanted to work in video games. So like, I'm the big guy, like, follow your dreams type of guy, and it was super important for me to actually um, follow my dreams. And I could not stand this work anymore. That 65 hours, 70 hours a week, not always, but like 3 months in the year, and then get very little pay. So I decided to actually look for something that will excite me a little bit more. And I went to Ubisoft, which is a video game company that you might know. They do Assassin's Creed and they do Rainbow Six Siege, but their most, and Just Dance as well. So their most well-known games are these two, or these three, I should say. And it was pretty cool. I did financial planning and analysis for them. So I did FP&A manager. And what did it do basically? So it's actually having a look at the financials and making the budget. And that was huge video game budgets, like 200 millions in cost, and even more than that. Most of the costs were staffing. So of course we have to pay people salary because they're putting time into the game, and that's basically the main cost. And that was super cool. I had to do a really big project that was on Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which we did a post-mortem of the game in finance wise, so where should we have spent more, where should we have spent less, what did we do that were the good, the good things that we did, and then the bad things that we did, and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. It got me to actually work with a team and my colleagues pretty closely, do what I like. And I actually think that's where I got some of my skills for my thumbnails, right? That's where my designer, like, not designer career, but like, I got better with design, I think, there, because I'm an accountant, right? I'm not good at all uh, in design. So basically, I started doing a lot of PowerPoint in there, a lot of financial PowerPoint, trying to get the message across the board, uh, in the best way possible, in the easiest way possible. Let's say it like that. And yeah, so that was super cool. We had to show this presentation to like 400 people, more than that. I think this presentation did like, it went to, I didn't go to Paris, but it was presented in Paris. It was presented a lot of different places in Ubisoft. So that was super cool. That was super rewarding. Let's say it like that. That when you make a work and like a lot of people are actually uh, watching it and looking at it, so you feel like you didn't do this for nothing. So yeah, that was super nice. And then yeah, I stayed at Ubisoft for like 2 years. It was a very toxic environment. Had really issues with my boss, which I talk openly about. I have a video on my YouTube that talks about that. I think it's like 45 minutes, me talking through this actual story. But it's part of who I am. It's part of the journey, and yeah, here we are. So yeah, so that was the thing at Ubisoft. At some point, I started looking for jobs. I really wanted to switch because I was not happy. And I'm that type of guy, that wants to be happy in life, of course. Like, who doesn't? And sorry, my glasses are falling here. So yeah, I started looking for jobs. I applied in multiple jobs in the video industry field, in the animation fields, always, like that kind of business, of a cool business, right? Basically, that's what I mean. And first place that I apply, it goes super well, and I get head to head with actually one friend of mine. I didn't know we were head to head. He had more experience than me. He worked with me in that big four accounting firm that I talked about, and he got the job. So that was the first deception, but I'm that kind of guy that rolls up the sleeves and is like, you know what? Screw this. I'll get the next one, right? And then I apply at a job, and I was, doing business with a headhunter because it's easier, right? So the headhunter is actually there and helping me out, and she's telling me, hey, Dave, it's going so great with this business. They love you so much. They're going to take you, and they're going to, they want you so much. And it's just these things that they need to finish up before giving you the offer, the final offer. And I was like, oh, cool, super great. Let's go. I was pumped. And then, like, second round of interview, third round of interview, and all of that. And I get denied again. I get denied again. So there, it was like, Jesus, I will never find a new job. And like when you're in a rush of finding a new job because you hate your current job, it's even worse, right? You sound desperate. It's like an entrepreneur doing business, and he needs the money to pay the bill, to pay his rent on Thursday, right? So he's pushy on the sales, and he's not there for the real thing. He's not there for the helping people out. He's there to make money, and it can be felt, right? It can be, people sense it. They have a sense for that. So I get denied again, and I apply for another job internally at Ubisoft to actually change department, because I was like, the boss is my issue, right? So if I get away from her, um and she actually got fired like 12 years after. That's it. That's the karma, right? That's the karma. I love to speak about this story. And yeah, so I apply internally, and then I do business with a guy that is in the monetization. Sorry, my eyebrow is actually stuck in the in my glasses. So yeah, so I get with this guy in the monetization, so game economics and game development and all of that. And I never did that, to be honest. I'm just an accountant. I'm a chartered professional accountant at this point. I passed the exam and everything. So yeah. So he's like, he asked me the real question, like, why do you want to do that? It's kind of far from your accounting world. And I'm like, yo, you know what? I kind of want to pivot and stuff like that. So he gives me a chance. He makes me do the interview like everyone else, even though I'm really close to the guy. He's like, hey, you know what? Try these tests out. I want to see what's your logic behind it. So I do the thing. I do the thing, but again, maybe he felt it. Maybe he had this sense of like, hey, you don't really want the job. You just actually want to escape your current job, right? And I think that was the case. I think that was the case for every of these jobs that I applied. So yeah, here we are. So I was like, okay, he denies me again. He hires someone else, and then I'm still at Ubisoft. I'm stuck there. So it's like, Jesus fuck, man. Like I will never get out of that. I will never get out of this hell that I'm living right now. Um, yeah. So that was rough. So here we are. I got denied again, third time in a row, and seriously, like the morale, not the morale, but the I was depressed a little bit, like getting a no for a third time in a row for a guy that was good at school and never failed and never, so and always got promotions and all of that. It's hard to receive a no sometimes, right? And I've been there, so I can understand and feel you if that's the case. And yeah, so here we are. I'm stuck at Ubisoft. At that point, it's roughly what, July 2020. It's a pandemic. It's boring. We have a curfew here in Quebec City. And yeah, so I keep doing my stuff. I can't stop working. I can't afford it. It's pandemic. The morale is very low for everyone. But gotta do the thing. It's not that bad at that point. But yeah. So what I do is I actually I see a post on Facebook. I think it was a sponsored ad. I'm not sure, from actually a company that is called Poka, Poka, which is a SaaS company, software as a service. And I see the post on LinkedIn, on Facebook, sorry, and I was like, I know this company because I was working in a big four accounting firm before, and I know the company. So when you know the name, I was like, oh, that seems like a cool startup. It seems like a cool challenge, right? So I see the company, and I just write there, like I send my resume, and the girl, which is actually one of my friend right now, Elizabeth, she calls me straight up and was like 2 or 3 p.m. I was working for Ubisoft still. You know the drill when you're looking for a new job. And I hope my microphone works. Actually, I'm not even sure. Mic check. Mic check. Anyway, so yeah, I hope the mic works. There we go. Does it work? Can we have someone in here test it? Anyway, so yeah, so I actually apply for this job. Elizabeth calls me. She's one of my friend now. She's the HR manager. It's a small company, 80 employees. They're like, "Oh, you have experience in financial planning analysis. Let's have a meeting with the team, right?" So I jump on this meeting and it goes pretty well. I'm like with my future boss, Felix, and with Elizabeth, and who else? Gabrielle. So the women from finance that actually hired me at the end. And everything was perfect from the start. I just felt great. Like it was a great match. It was a great energy. That was my people. Like that was my people that I was on the line with. That was amazing. And yeah, so I actually got the job, and I started doing my job in September 2020. So on September 8th of 2020, to be real precise with all of that. So yeah, I start doing the job. It's pretty intense. I don't know anything about the work. I have been in a company, but it was much bigger. It was at Ubisoft, so it's like I don't know, 500 people, and like worldwide, it's like 10,000 or something. But I was in a bigger company, so everything is different. Bigger data set, bigger goals. It's more relaxed in a bigger company because you don't move the needle as much as in a small company, right? So yeah, uh, basically I started working there. It's going pretty well. It's pretty intensive. I listen to a lot of podcasts, FP&A podcasts, SaaS software as a service podcasts. I try to get everything I can, like the ratios, and I try to learn as much as I can because I can't say that I know this field, right? Ubisoft, we're selling video games, and then I'm in a company where we actually sell services like software as a service. So we sell license. It's completely different. Everything's different, right? So that's really different. And yeah, so basically what I do from there is it gets pretty intense at work, in a good sense. Like we have a lot of work. That's what I mean. So I have to redo all of the budgets because my boss actually disappears. Like she resigned, right? She wanted a professional break, and that's perfect. That's cool. And so I get there. She trains me for 2 weeks, and then she's gone. So that was the first thing. Actually, she called me during my vacation and she told me, "Hey, by the way, before hiring you, I gave my 6 week notice." Cool. And I'm gonna be there once you yeah, I'm gonna be there once you arrive. I'll train you for 2 weeks, and then it's bye bye. And well, I had a team, of course. I was not alone in there, but yeah. So that's what happened, and yeah. So I worked there, and then I was there September until January, and then January 1st, we have a huge, because the market was good at this point. So January 1st, 2021, we had a huge goal. We had something to do. We had to actually raise money. So we had to raise Series B because we were a startup. We needed to get more money. That was a good timing. So I embarked in this really amazing journey of getting venture capital money. Sorry, not work. Venture capital money. So we ended up raising $31 million. And that was super, super cool experience. I had to talk with a lot of investors and a lot of people from all over the world that wanted to get chip in some money to this beautiful business that I was working for. So that was a cool journey, to be honest with you. And then fast forward, like startup world is all crazy. Fast forward to February of 2023. I see a woman on the internet that is called Miss Excel, and she does video where she's dancing and teaching people Excel. So I thought that was super cool, and at some point I was like, you know what? I could do something similar, right? Not dancing, but doing Excel and teaching people Excel. So February 10th of 2023, I take a day off. It was a Friday, and I was like, all right, let's start my YouTube channel. It's going to be called The Piggy Bank Accountant. And that's actually a brand name that I brainstormed about with the CEO of my previous company that I was working for, that I was still working at this point, you know. And I started my YouTube channel. My first video was on February 10th of 2023, and it was a XLOOKUP versus VLOOKUP video because I have just learned from for this function. It was actually a pretty bad video, of course, first video. And I was wearing a pig hat back then because, you know, piggy bank accounting. I thought it was a great idea to wear a pig hat. And at some point, I was like, what? Why am I wearing a pig hat? Anyways, that was a test. You know, that was a test. And so yeah, I actually wore a pig hat and I started making videos. And from there, I started making short videos. And I was still working full time, of course. And I was making short videos, and I started doing long form 1 month after, and then I got more serious, like one long form every 3 weeks, then one long form every week, then one long form, you know, every week, all the time, because you know you have to build all of that. And long form, I think, is king. That's where you actually connect with people. Even though I'm doing this live stream right now as a short form video, and yeah, so that's when it all started. And then in so that was in 2023. In like April of 2023, I heard that we were about to sell the company. Of course, I was really implicated in the sale because I was an accountant, and that's what accountants do, right? I was helping with the sales. And fast forward June of 2023. 2023? Yeah, Jesus, damn. Times fly. June of 2023, we sell the company. So I didn't know if I was going to lose my job at some point, but I was having faith. But at some point, I got really bored with this job, kind of. So I was like, maybe it's time for me to do something else. And that's actually on August of 2023. I had 400 subscribers. And I actually left my full time job. So I left my full time job and I went all in YouTube. And that was the best decision of my life. And yeah, so from CPA to YouTuber, and I just kept going. So I did one video a week I did one video a week for like tons of weeks now. So first started my channel in February of 2023, went full time on August 18, 2023. 2 weeks of vacation, came back on September 5th of 2023, and actually went full time YouTube there. And I had no clue of what I was doing. I think I'm still having no clue of what I'm doing, but I'm enjoying the journey because it's been pretty crazy what I've done so far. So let's try to speed things up a little bit because it's already been 23 minutes that I'm talking about my YouTube career or CPA to YouTube career. And what I did actually is yeah, September doing some videos. October, I think I started more LinkedIn because you know it's a professional network, and I think that's where people that want courses on Microsoft Excel, because that's what I'm doing on my channel mainly. I help people with Excel and now Microsoft Copilot and even Chat GPT, right? And so that's sorry, so that's what I was doing. And a lot of things happened. I had a first partnership with Sheetcast, so people saw my clever videos on LinkedIn and YouTube because I'm trying to have a different style, you know, more energetic, more, you know, different than, you know, your typical boring Excel videos, because that's really where I wanted to do that. I was like, I think I have everything to do that, and I'm an accountant, I'm a CPA, and when I take trainings, because I have 50 hours a year of mandatory trainings to actually do, when I do these trainings, it's really boring, right? and it's really freaking boring, right? And I pay $800, and after 3 minutes I don't remember anything because I'm falling asleep on my chair, right? So I was like, sorry. So I was like, let's try to make this different. Let's try to make it fun. Let's try to make it better. Let's try to change training a little bit and make it actually a nicer experience, right? So that's why I'm still trying to do to this day. So I had a few wins. Actually, I had a lot of wins on the way, and it's been a crazy journey. I signed clients contracts to make videos for them. I signed clients to do you know training as well. I do live training, I do videos, I do a lot of stuff. That's been a crazy journey, and I'm probably missing a lot of details here, but I'll cut it pretty straightforward. I actually recently got Microsoft MVP, which is a prize from Microsoft that recognize the people that helps the community. It doesn't mean that I'm like a super turbo Excel geek, but it means that I'm helping the community, and we are like 3,000 worldwide and 40 in Quebec here in Canada where I live. So that's pretty crazy, and I've made like crazy courses with people where I had like this really expensive camera, and I had a teleprompter, and I had to film myself and record myself, and help people in the better way possible and transfer my knowledge. So lots of wins, new clients. I manage actually YouTube right now for a company in Europe that I love working with, and they're amazing. And a lot of different things. I have my courses, my signature courses, Microsoft Copilot Essentials from AI beginner to proficient. I make crazy videos. I have sponsorships in my videos now. It's been quite a journey. So and just to add a word on that, it's always self-doubt still to this day. Like it's like, oh, how am I going to pay the bill? How will I do that with YouTube? It's a lot of self-doubt, asking myself, where is this going? But you don't have to have this answer. Like, it's fine if it's going, we don't know where it's going, right? And that's perfectly fine. And yeah, it's been a crazy cool journey, and that's how I made it from CPA to YouTuber. I'm still a CPA to this date. Of course, it helps me. Like, everything is related to CPA still, except I'm doing some YouTube. But even the YouTube that I'm going doing for companies are all in my field. Like, they want my experience as a CPA, right? So yeah, if I can add, like, just follow your dream, just do it. Maybe you don't want to drop it overnight, like I'm doing. Start your stuff on the side, see what picks up, see if you like it as well, and just be yourself on camera. And that was my journey from CPA to YouTuber. That was a test. That was my first vertical stream. I don't think anyone showed up, but you know what? I don't care. I talked with myself for 30 minutes, and that's perfect. All right, let's see where this goes. And if I click plus, what's going on here? I can start a poll, and I can just quit being live. All right, so we'll see you in another live anytime soon. Peace.